I am here.
Christopher Espinoza.
Here.
Sherelle Fuller. Jenny Hagstrom.
Here.
Carrie Pavicic.
Here.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Here.
Nancy Kupka.
Miss one meeting.
Scarlett O'Hara.
Here.
And Jay Toledano.
Here.
Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
She won some big award, and now she thinks she'd give me a hard time.
All right, tonight's Student Perspectives is from North High, and I think Courtney's going to kick things off here.
Oh, no.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really excited tonight to introduce you to a few members of our Empowerment Club. And throughout this whole year, I have just been so impressed by the amount of service that they have done for our community, for other communities, for the world, frankly. And it's just been something that I really wanted to highlight because I'm so proud of the work that they've done. And they have taken on some enormous projects. And I've been talking a lot with Karen Spar-Thomas, who is here with them this evening as well. And I just wanted to make sure that they were recognized for their work because it's been really impressive. And I'm going to let the kids introduce themselves here this evening and talk a little bit about Empowerment Club and what they've done this year. So if you guys want to come up.
Hi, we are the DGN Empowerment Club. My name's Pulvy Fisher, Rajan Fisher, Molly Fisher, and Madeline From. Oh, I don't know. How do you click this?
You wave at me.
We are a nonpartisan club, and we aim to educate and raise awareness on current issues in our country, in our world, and in our community. We believe that everyone deserves equal rights, and we believe that everyone's voices should be heard. So we try to recreate that change starting at DGN.
Sorry. So some recent drives we have done lots of stuff this year, but two of the things we want to highlight are our book donation drive and our Ukraine drive we did this year. In our book donation drive, we donated over 4,000 books to Books for Cause along with some DVDs. And then we, through our Ukraine drive, donated 2.5 tons of resources to communities in Ukraine.
We also did a book drive. So the book drive collected books and DVDs through an organization called Books for Cause, and this organization basically gave books to impoverished communities in all over the globe, just to give them give these communities access to books and DVDs that they wouldn't have normally. And there was 4,200 books donated, including the DVDs. So that's a really good number. Just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is.
So another really incredible opportunity we had was to do a drive to supply some items for Ukraine. So we had an amazing turnout with 5,000 pounds of resources donated. We collected hygiene products and non-perishable food. And we just really saw a really inspiring turnout. Everyone really came together. Everyone really came together. We had dozens of awesome students at DGN pitch in to help us, as you can see in the photos, organize the things. We needed lots of packing, lots of stocking. There was lots of boxes to be filled. And over the weekend, we saw teachers, staff, and parents come and help us actually load these things to be sent out. And it wasn't really some intangible process. We were able to actually watch as these items were then transported to Ukraine. So we saw on Tuesday the donations flew 4,664 miles from Chicago to Warsaw, Poland. The next day, Wednesday, they were driven another 202 miles from Warsaw to the border of Ukraine. Thursday, they were driven an additional 40 miles from the border of Ukraine to Lviv. And this was just a week after we finished boxing up our collections. And so on Friday, those donations were distributed, and we were able to see just being able to make a small impact all the way around the world. So that was really cool.
So, like I mentioned, we have been doing other things with the Empowerment Club, and one of the things we try and do is educate the DGN community about different communities in our area. And so, through the Sign Language Club, members of Empowerment Club were taught how to speak basic sign language. We made Valentines for senior members in our community. We did a Frida Kahlo project where we collaborated with Art Club to make paper mache flowers that would replicate Frida Kahlo's hairpiece. We made tote bags with the sustainability committee of the Empowerment Club, and we also wrote letters to legislators on different issues that people wanted to talk to them about. So yeah, thank you.
Any questions for our students?
One thing that's so impressive is that these students not only design all of these things on their own. This is not any teacher or staff member saying you should do this. These are their ideas and their work and their projects, and their sphere of influence is so large. Everybody at North High knows what Empowerment Club is and what they do, and it's so impressive. So thank you guys so much for coming this evening.
Thank you.
And Jade is a member of the Empowerment Club too. Yes. As well, so.
So how many students are in the Empowerment Club?
Oh, we go what, anywhere 50, 60? Yeah.
Wow.
depending on the year.
We have, we're broken into individual, so we're the larger Empowerment Club as a whole, which is a lot of members each year. But then we also break into smaller committees that people can join however many they want, just to sort of be able to focus on issues that matter most to them. So we all help lead the humanitarian committee, but then there's sustainability, March for Our Lives, voter outreach, things like that. So those all have dozens of students in them as well.
And how do you decide on those things? Like you said, you're the humanitarian, but how do you decide, well, let's just collect 5,000 pounds of resources and send them across the world? How do you decide to do what you're going to focus on,
Oh, this is, I guess, a funny story. For the Books for Cause drive we did, we were going over all of the stuff we had like in our attic over winter break. And my mom was like, man, I wish we just had some place to put all these books. We have so many books. And so apparently everyone else's moms thought the same thing. So like we just kept getting more and more books. They were like, okay, we only have so many boxes. But stuff like that just kind of like randomly happened, I guess.
Well, Rajan, you found the Books for Cause online, right?
We just looked up like different organizations close to in like the Chicagoland area where we could just donate this like mass amount of books, and that Books for Cause was one of the like highest rated organizations in the area.
Very cool.
Well, thank you. Good. Thank you for all you're doing.
I just have to because I have to. So Margaret Mead, right? I have to read it because I always screw it up. But one of my favorite quotes in the world is, "Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world." In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So thank you so much for all that you do. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
That's very cool.
Well, that's it for the fun part of the meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you
Stop
so much.
laughing now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move to the approval of minutes. We have a motion for the Board of Education to approve the minutes of the March 21st, 2022 business meeting, the April 11th, 2022 workshop meeting, and the April 11th, 2022 closed meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Chris and Terry.
Thank you very much. Chris Espinoza,
Aye.
Trey Pavicic,
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Abstain.
Sherelle Fuller,
First or second?
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye. The minutes are approved.
Thank you.
Next is in the meeting agenda the meeting agenda includes 2 opportunities for comments from the audience. The first reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board about any agenda item on which the board will vote. And the second reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. I believe you only have second.
Yeah, I think all of these are for the second reception of visitors.
Is
Yes.
there anybody for the first reception?
All right.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the third third quarter financial report.
All right, I'm pitching in for our finance team tonight. So the board received all the information about these. Third quarter financial report. We're on pace for what we talked about at the beginning of the year, which was running a deficit because we're paying off some significant bonds at the end over the course of this year. So you see that reflected in the overall bottom line on this slide, but it's on pace for what we talked about back in August. In revenues, we're pretty much on pace for what we expected outside of food service, which we talked about, I think, a couple of board meetings ago. We're outpacing our projections by quite a bit. And yeah, 5,800%.
Yeah.
Which of course is inflated, as a result of first the pandemic, the numbers that we had last year, not knowing how we were going to rebound, and then with the changes that we made in the food service this year. You can see we're on pace for over $1.5 million in revenue related to food service. And I know, Jenny, that's many reloads of your student's ID card.
I'm happy to help.
Thank you for your support.
Yes.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Expenditures were on pace, very similar to last year, outpacing it a little bit, but this school year is much different than last school year, but this is trending as what we would expect at this time of the year. So that's the report. It's an action item later on this evening. I'll do my best to answer any questions that you may have, if you have any.
Looks like none.
All right. Moving on, resolution on the 2021 tax rates. Those tax rates, we bring you a projected amount, and they're approved tentatively by the board in December. So this document provides the overview of the changes that occur between the projected and the actual that were issued to us last week. Really, the big numbers that we take away from this, right, is that the tax cap rate is 1.4%. You see that at the top in green. New construction is 2%. A large portion of that new construction is bolstered by the Downers Grove TIF that rolled off and came on board this year. That total new tax revenue is 3.4%. We commonly refer that to as the revenue stream at this table. The levy approved in December was 0.0225 more than what we actually had come through. So what I take away from that is that Mark and Dree did a really good job of projecting what it should be. That's probably a pretty good margin of error. So the tax rate overall, because of our rising EAV, the tax rate will decrease to 1.8751, which is a decrease of 0.0073, which helps us continue our current trend. I would imagine we will be right around 20 out of 856 school districts in the state of lowest tax rate. So we do pretty well, amazingly well for our tax rate. So value for your dollar in Downers Grove remains strong. Other items of note in Mark's report, as part of the setting of the tax rates, is the Rex Nord abatement, that the amount that we abate decreases year after year. So the amount that we're abating this year is about $37,000 as a result of that change. We also have a change that allows us to recapture some funds from property tax objections. So that will be an additional $162,000 that we received this year as a result of that change at the state level. This is an action item this evening. Do my best to answer any questions that you might have. All right, moving on. District's auditor services, as the board is aware, we have a current contract with Miller Cooper. That was a 5-year contract. However, within that contract, we come back and set the rate each year. The recommended rate, which is an action item this evening, is set at $40,500. This is the group that does our audit, brings us the annual comprehensive report in December, January of each year, and and does all the auditing of the district. So this is an action item this evening that we recommend that the board approves. Questions?
No.
All right. Oh, look at that, just says what I just told you. All right, support staff contract, association contract. As I informed the board earlier today, this was ratified by the Support Staff Association this afternoon. It was presented to the board last week in closed session, provided an overview and discussion with board members, as well as the draft contract language is in the board packet and was provided to the board as well. Over the last week, I've received no additional questions from board members. However, I'd entertain any if they exist at this time.
Quick one.
Mm-hmm.
How, just more of a curiosity question, how did, or at all, did the experience of the pandemic affect this contract negotiation? Is there anything in subsequence?
I think that
Substance?
yeah, I would say of most substance is the fact that we entered into an interest-based bargaining arrangement with support staff this time, went through the training and went through that. I think a lot of that was just built on the trust that existed between the groups throughout the pandemic. You know, there's been a lot of communication, a lot of working through ever-changing guidelines and the way that things should work. There was great interest of support staff following the same kind of model that we used with the teachers pre-pandemic. So that really led into the process. I think the outcome is more driven by inflation, by challenges in the job market related to the pandemic and those kinds of things, where you see this one-time adjustment in salaries, especially amongst a couple of groups, to bring us more in line with market, so that we can try to attract and retain some employees in positions that we've had a challenge in doing so over the last year, and in some ways even years before that. So really it's more of the if we're in the post-pandemic period, that is causing, you know, some of the changes that we felt we really had to make in compensation in this model. Most notably, increases in insurance benefits, as the research out there shows that that is one of the key pieces for attracting and retaining employees right now.
It seemed like, a quick review of the documents, it was kind of a win-win
And that's
situation.
what interest-based sets out to do, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, we set out, both sides agreed to what the goals of negotiations were, and at the end, we were able to achieve in some creative way all of those goals as outcomes.
Well, we definitely value our support staff, so I'm glad that we got the win-win.
Yeah. All right, so this is up as an action item later on this evening as well. Freedom of information requests, we continue to receive them, fill them, and they are posted up on our website. If you search for FOIA, you can see this recently fulfilled FOIA requests, which provides you a report on all of them.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Is there anything any member of the board wishes to extract for further discussion? Hearing none, I'd just like to point out and thank Gina Zaccardi for serving on the DuPage Area Occupational Education System Board of Directors. Thank you so much. So proud of you. So we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes the personnel report, appointments certified, changes of position classified, appointments classified, personnel report, resignations certified, retirements classified, resignations classified, financial pages, the district auditor services, and the resolution of appointment to DuPage Area Occupational Education System Board of Directors, which is
So moved.
Second.
Mike and Terry. Thank you very much. Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the consent agenda carries. Next, we'll move on to the action items. The first, we need a motion for the Board of Education to approve the agreement between the Support Staff Association and the Board of Education District 99 from July 1st, 2022 through June 20th, 2026.
Second.
Joanna and Chris.
Thank you very much. Joanna Vasquez Drexler.
Aye.
Christopher Espinoza.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the item carries. Next, we need a motion for the Board of Education to adopt the resolution entitled Resolution Authorizing the DuPage County Clerk to Extend Specific Tax Rates for Tax Year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Chris and Joanna.
Thank you very much. Christopher Espinoza,
Aye.
Joanna Vasquez Drexler,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller,
Aye.
Jenny Hagstrom,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the motion carries. Okay, we'll move on then to the second reception of visitors. This is the second reception of visitors, which is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. Individuals needing more time should submit their thoughts in writing to the board secretary, Mrs. Nidak. Visitors addressing the board need to submit a comment slip to the board secretary and will be invited to the microphone. Prior to addressing the board, audience members should state their full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes, and we are being streamed. I, the board's presiding officer, reserve the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant, and audience observation of these protocols is appreciated. Thank you.
All right. First speaker is Noel Manley.
Good evening. My name is Noel Manley, and I'm a resident of Darien, Illinois. The United States is not a racist country, and District 99 is not a racist community. However, despite President Kupka's public statement last summer about critical race theory not being taught in District 99, the district presented during the school day a video entitled The Faces of DGN. This 10-minute video was presented to students on January 28, 2022, during the school day from 10:30 a.m. to 10:53 a.m. The video included a 5-question worksheet discussing intersectionality and how it applies to the student. For those of you not familiar with intersectionality, I suggest you consult one of the district's 16 copies of the critical race theorist Ibram X. Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Specifically, you'll find Mr. Kendi's discussion of intersectionality on page 188. The video presents the Marxist concept of intersectionality through the use of 2 teenagers indoctrinating 2 elementary school students to the concept. Rather than have a serious discussion or debate on the matter, the video rolls into a series of tired racial and ethnic tropes that pander to the worst stereotypes of the past. In typical critical race theory manner, the video stereotypically presents 2 children of color, Jerry and Fatima, as coming from marginalized groups while presenting a white child, Greta, as growing up with the wind at her back. This unserious presentation allows for no room to discuss poor white people in this country, nor is there any effort to illustrate successful Muslims or Hispanics. I wonder where the Muslim neurosurgeon who removed my brain tumor in 2006 and saved my life falls in this discussion. I guess nowhere, because he does not fit the narrative. The video then rolls into a series of cringeworthy declarative statements by students and staff indicating their ethnic background and what they are not. A Mexican-American young man declares he does not like tacos. A young Muslim woman declares she's not a terrorist, and a teacher that he is not a member of the mafia. This is a waste of time and a waste of taxpayer dollars on more critical race theory indoctrination. So in the spirit of this video, I thought it would be appropriate for me to make some declarative statements. I am Native American. Specifically, I'm of the Ojibwe Nation. I'm from a place called Gingaba-Ganikog, and I am not a drunk. I'm an Ojibwe man, but I am not a victim. And I'm an Ojibwe man, and I have no patience for liberal white racial pandering. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Laura Hoyce.
Good evening, my name is Laura Hoyce. I'd like to address transgender training in sophomore Downers Grove North health class. Last week, on April 12th, teachers at Downers Grove North presented the gender unicorn to 10th grade students. This gender identity, gender expression training was handed out and collected at the end of class. In other words, the trans student educational resource was carefully guarded for secrecy. Students aren't allowed to take these papers home. District 99 does not want parents to know what teachers are telling their sons or daughters. That there are other genders besides female, girl, and male, boy. That there are expressions other than feminine or masculine. That sex assigned at birth includes not just female or male, but also other or intersex. According to the Epoch Times April 13 to 19 opinion article, the Biden administration policies are pushing puberty-blocking transition surgeries for transgender children. The federal government will force taxpayers to pay for medical interventions such as puberty blockers, hormone therapy, and gender-affirming surgeries. This is nonsense. This is evil. It's Marxist teaching that's intended to destroy our families. It's grounded in communism, urging students to follow the government and ignore your parents. Do you folks know about this? Do you approve of gender influencing and sex grooming at Downers Grove North and South? I'm speaking of what occurred at Downers Grove North last Tuesday. I don't know what's happening at South. Does District 99 engage in telling girls they can become boys without telling their parents? Should our schools be teaching students that they may be attracted to the same or other genders? Should teachers tell them it's okay to be emotionally attracted to the trans craze, to become popular? If you want to know more, go to transstudent.org/gender. There you will find the transgender unicorn sheet shown in all colors and languages. There you will learn that for transgender people, sex assigned at birth and their own internal sense of gender identity are not the same. Superintendent Thiele and District 99 board members and participating teachers, stop corrupting our kids. Stop grooming our kids for kinky sex. Stop forcing students to fulfill your political agenda. Restore quality education at Downers Grove South and Downers Grove North.
Thank you.
Ms. Hoyce, if you are aware of a teacher that is actually grooming a student in the proper term of grooming, please share that with us. We don't take the term grooming lightly in the school district. We don't take that as a term that you just throw around lightly. So if you are aware of a staff member that is actually under the technical term grooming a student, I ask you to seriously bring that forward to me in confidence.
I will.
Thank you. Next speaker is, I can't make out the first name. I think it's Briner. Thank you, Ed.
Again, my name is Ed Briner, lifelong resident of Downers Grove, graduate of Downers Community High School in 1962. It was a time, fortunately, when the high school focused on math, science, and history versus what I'm afraid they focus more on critical race theory, pornography, and sexual orientation now, but I digress. You might recall in September of 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to President Biden requesting that he direct federal law enforcement to investigate parents as domestic terrorists. On October 4th, the U.S. Department of Justice under Merrick Garland directed the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate parents for harassment, intimidation, threats of violence against school board members and school employees. Because of that, 13 states, including Illinois, have withdrawn membership of the National School Boards Association, and many more have distanced themselves from the same. District 99 has paid the National School Boards Association $4,165 annually. Now that Illinois has left the School Boards Association, will District 99 withdraw and cancel any further payments to the National School Boards Association? Hank, we asked you this back in the fall when this came about, and you had indicated that as the year progressed, you would make a decision whether you will continue in the National Association. So I ask you again if this has been the case, if you've withdrawn.
Mr. Briner, if you'd like to reach outside, if you'd like to reach out to me outside of this meeting, I'd be happy to answer your question. However, this is the reception of visitors, and this isn't a time for dialogue.
Okay, very good. And at that time, I would like to know what you get for that $4,000.
feel free to email me.
Okay, let's move on to communications and announcements. Jenny, anything on Lend?
I don't have anything this week. It'll be next week.
Joanna Sassett?
Not this week.
On Education Foundation?
We're meeting Wednesday, so.
Chris, anything on IASB?
Nothing exciting.
Okay, upcoming board meetings. On May 2nd, we'll have a workshop meeting at 6:30 PM here in the ASC. And May 16th, we'll have our regular business meeting at 6:30 again at the ASC. We have no closed session, so we just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
That would be Terry and Chris. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank
Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Thank you for your